Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a historian, but over the last couple of months I've been looking a lot at the life of Abraham Lincoln. And I recently got the movie that Steven Spielberg made last year, and starring Daniel Day-Lewis. And I thought, just to pick for this speech, that I would, I do a scene from the movie, and I'll just fill you in some of the backstory as well of the movie for anybody who hasn't seen it. I would recommend it. To be honest, I wasn't too sure about Daniel Day-Lewis beforehand, but I thought he did a great job really in the movie. I was very, very impressed with it. The movie itself is set in 1865, and it covers the last 4 months of Abraham Lincoln's life. Now, he's just been re-elected as the 16th President of the United States of America, and he's got 2 things on his plate. The American Civil War is coming to an end, and he's trying to sort out a peace treaty with the South, so everything can be finished up there. But also he's got an amendment, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, where he wants to abolish slavery and set all the coloured people free in the South. And really that's his whole driving force of his second presidency, from what I could see in the movie. The movie portrays him as a very complex guy, in that it shows him, obviously he's playing the politician, he's doing, making his deals, he's negotiating with people, but also at the same time they show his family life and his wife. I think he had 2 sons who had passed away, and one is a son who had passed away about 2 or 3 years before the movie had taken place, and he had breathing difficulties or something like that, and his wife took it very, very badly, and I think that put him under a lot of strain and put their marriage under a lot of strain. But I suppose because he was so complicated for what he achieved, I think it would take a complicated person to actually achieve what he did, if you know what I'm saying. I just picked out a scene from the movie that I particularly liked. On the DVD, the title of the scene was Fairness and Freedom, so I gave that to this title of my speech tonight. Now, there's a book as well, if anybody is interested. It's called Team of Rivals, about Abraham Lincoln, by this lady, Doris Kearns Goodwin. I cheated, I got the summary because I didn't have 3 weeks to read it and sit down and do nothing else. So, it was very good. After watching the movie and doing all my research, it kind of put the pieces back together of, in my own mind, who was who. One of Abraham Lincoln's strengths as a leader was the people who went for the Republican nomination for him in 1861, he appointed them to his cabinet after he was elected president. And I know certain people, like Barack Obama has quoted the book, and also Alex Ferguson has quoted the book as well. And I remember Alex Ferguson saying that, in my dressing room I've got all these guys, and they're all very egotistical people, but also they're very tough people, and I want to know how to be able to manage them. So he said, Alex Ferguson said, looking at that book, it really helped me to manage my dressing room in Manchester United. So I'm just going to read a scene. There's a few characters in it. I won't really go on about the characters too much, but I'll just name them and I'll say a little bit about them, but not very much. And then the first two parts of the scene are in a representative's office in Washington, then outside another man's house, and then the other one is in Lincoln's office at night time when he's talking to his cabinet. So this inside. In an office in the State Department, this is with a man called George Yeaman. Also, he's accompanied by his second-in-command, Seward, and he sits at his grand desk looking on with an anxious scowl. Lincoln sits on the edge of Seaman's desk, and Yeaman sits in a chair facing him. George Yeaman. I can't vote for the amendment, Mr. Lincoln. Lincoln. I saw a barge once, Mr. Yeaman, filled with coloured men in chains, heading down the Mississippi to the New Orleans slave markets. It sickened me more than I thought. It sickened me, and more than that, it brought a shadow down, a pale around my eyes. Slavery troubled me as long as I can remember. In a way, it never troubled my father, though he hated it. In his own fashion, he knew no small-holding dirt farmer could compete with slave plantations. He took us out from Kentucky to get away from him. He wanted Indiana kept free. He wasn't a kind man, but there was a rough moral urge for fairness, for freedom in him. I learnt that from him, I suppose, if little else from him. We didn't care for one another, Mr. Yeaman. Mr. Yeaman was embarrassed. Why, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Lincoln, loving kindness, that most ordinary thing came to me from other sources. I'm grateful for that. George Yeaman. I hate it too, sir, slavery. But, we're entirely unready for emancipation. There's too many questions. Lincoln, we're unready for peace too, aren't we? When it comes, it'll present us with conundrums and dangers greater than any we faced during the war. Bloody has it been. We'll have to extemporize and experiment with what it is, when it is. Lincoln moves from the desk to take the seat beside Yeaman, no longer towering above him. He leans forward and rests a hand on Yeaman's knee. Lincoln, I read your speech, George. Negroes and the vote, that's a puzzle. George Yeaman, no, but Negroes can't vote, Mr. Lincoln. You're not suggesting that we enfranchise coloured people? Lincoln, I'm only asking that you disenthrall yourself from the slave powers. I'll let you know when there's an offer on my desk for surrender. There's none before us now. What's before us now, that's the vote on the 13th Amendment. It's going to be so very close. You see what you can do. And Lincoln leaves Yeaman, considering. A working class neighbourhood in Washington at night. Lincoln stands in front of William Hutton's row house, talking to Hutton. The funeral wreath still hangs on the door behind them, displaying the marks of time passing, faded, weather-beaten, dusty. William Hutton, I can't make sense of it, what he died for, Mr. Lincoln. I hate them all, I do, I hate them all. I am a prejudiced man. The door opens slightly behind Hutton. His wife looks out. Hutton exchanges a glance with her, and the door shuts again. Lincoln, I'd change that in you if I could, but that's not why I come. I might be wrong, Mr. Hutton, but I expect coloured people will most likely be free, and when that's so, it's simple truth that your brother's bravery and his death helped make it so. Only you can decide whether that's sense enough for you or not. Hutton slowly walks back to his house. Lincoln, my deepest sympathies to your family. Lincoln goes back to his buggy. Hutton pauses at his door to watch Lincoln's buggy drive away. Inside Lincoln's office at night. Lincoln is seated at the head of the cabinet table along with Seward, Ashley, Preston and Monty Blair. Hay and Nicolay sit in their usual chairs. Preston Blair in an angry voice. We've managed our members to a fare thee well. You've had no defections from the Republican right to trouble you. Whereas to what you promised, where the hell are the commissioners? James Ashley, oh God, it's true. You lied to me, Mr. Lincoln. You evaded my request for a denial that there is a Confederate peace offer because there is one. We are absolutely guaranteed to lose the whole thing, James Ashley, and we'd be discredited. The amendment itself will be tainted. What if these peace commissioners appear today, or worse, in the morning? Montgomery Blair, we don't need a goddamn abolition amendment. Leave the Constitution alone. State by state, you can extrapolate. Lincoln, I can't listen to this anymore. I can't accomplish a goddamn thing of any human meaning or worth until we cure ourselves of slavery and end this pestilential war. And whether any of you or anyone else knows it, I know I need this. This amendment is that cure. We've stepped out upon the world stage now, with the fate of human dignity in our hands. Blood's been spilled to afford us this moment. He points around the table at Ashley, Monty and Preston. Now. And you grossel and heckle and dodge like these pettifogging Tammany Hall hucksters. See what is before you. See the here and now. That's the hardest thing. The only thing that accounts. Abolishing slavery by constitutional provision settles the fate. For all coming time, not only of the millions now in bondage, but of unborn millions to come. 2 votes stand in the way, and these votes must be procured. Seward, we need 2 yeses, 3 abstentions, or 4 yeses and 1 more abstention, and the amendment will pass. You've got a day and a night, and a night, a day, a night and a day, and a night, and several perfectly good hours. Now go get the hell out of here and get him. Yes, but how? James Ashley. Buzzard's guts, man. Lincoln rises and keeps rising till he seems 8 feet tall. I am the President of the United States of America, clouded in immense power. You will procure me those votes.